When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
Let's head straight over to Sterling Downey. He's a city councillor in Verdun, and he used to sit on the commission for the city of Montreal that studied nightlife policy. So he knows this dossier very well. The dossier I'm talking about, what to do about music venues in this city that are constantly being targeted for noise violations. Of course, earlier in the week, we found out La Tulipe, a Quebec Court of Appeal, ruled that La Tulipe, they can't make any noise at all from speakers that comes out of the venue. La Tulipe responded to say, hey, we got to close down. The response has been very swift. Sterling, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So first things first, you know, every person I've talked to on this program this week, whether it's our panelists, other people outside of the studio, when I've talked to people, everyone says this is insane. This venue's been there for over 100 years. They should stick around. It's the neighbors that should be shutting up here. Yet lo and behold, we have a judge, right, who ruled the exact opposite. Was the judge lacking common sense?
Well, I'm not a jurist in any way, but I have to say that this is the first time that we've ever seen the bylaw that is in place currently interpreted in this way, right? And this is the scary thing about bylaws and laws, is they're open to interpretation based on an individual. And I think, in my opinion, there was definitely a lack of sensitivity or judgment maybe from the judge in this case. And I don't know if this person fully grasps the severity of the situation and the impacts of it. I don't even know if the judge knew the history of the venue. I don't know what the judge knew or didn't know, but to arrive at that conclusion is absolutely, like, it astonishes me. Everyone was taken by surprise by this. It's like, it's insane. It's like just totally nuts that this would happen, and that one individual would have the power to appeal something and to go before a court and a judge would actually render in their favor. It's really scary.
So with that in mind, right, it seems like, well, the reaction has been quite swift. I heard Valerie Plante saying we will not let the dictatorship of a neighbor dictate policy here. So tell our listeners, what is the response? What is being done to fight back or adapt to this court ruling?
Well, as you know, the city right away, Le Crabouin and the Plateau, called an emergency council session to have these bylaws fixed and amended to avoid any type of interpretation like this in the future. So they're working on this now. I haven't spoken to them personally, but I know that they're working on this tooth and nail to make sure that this doesn't happen, because especially when you look at the Plateau and all the venues, the bars, the restaurants, and all the cultural spaces that would be affected by this, it would absolutely be detrimental to the future of our cultural scene. So I know they're working on this. I know that our teams have turned out and said that they're going to invest more money into the programs to help soundproof venues and places to make sure that venues do not fall victim to these kinds of complaints. And then there's going to be a lot more being done. Like I said, I think just the fact that the mayor comes out publicly, which I'm glad that she did, and says that enough is enough and something has to be done, I think that makes a strong statement. And now, hopefully, as they say, the boots will follow en français, il dit les babines vont suivre les bottines, ou les bottines suivent les babines. But I think we're going to be good. And, if you think about this, like I was thinking about it as I was watching all of the interviews and everything. I come from a background, I used to be a club promoter in the city, so I worked at all these venues, I've done shows, I still have a festival that I'm involved in. And noise complaints are something that are very, very, very common to me, And back in the 2000s, when the government changed the bylaws when it came to smoking, and people had to smoke outside venues, which is, a good thing for public health, but that caused, I remember, a whole problem, because now you had tons of people out on the street at night at 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning smoking, and noise complaints would flood into the bars and venues I used to work in, because the surrounding neighbors were like, there's all these people on the street all night long. Same thing happened when some of the bars opened terraces. There was these noise complaints, so terraces had to close down at 11 o'clock. And then I think about other things that have happened over the years, where we've seen venues like the Spectrum disappear, which was a major concert venue. It's gone in the middle of the Quartier des Spectacles. Now you got a 55-story high-rise building there, or two of them. The medley disappeared. It's insane when you think about over the last 20 years how much our cultural scene has taken a hit from different things like this. And even as recently as the Quartier des Spectacles, with big concerts, with people in the condos around there complaining about noise from like Just for Laughs and Les Francopholies or the Jazz Fest. Like I've heard and seen complaints coming in the last 20 years from all over the place, and it's nuts.
And by the way, now you remind me of Le Medley. My goodness, I hadn't thought about Le Medley for a long time. Now Sterling, we're with Sterling Downey, city councillor in Verdun. He also knows a fair amount about this nightlife policy. So let's talk about that, right? Because this is it out? When is the official new nightlife policy coming out, and perhaps will it touch upon issues like this?
So I'm not sure exactly when they're releasing it. I didn't look into exactly when it's coming out, but I know for a fact that the whole point of this policy is to guarantee and ensure that nightlife, and that means culture around nightlife, which music plays a very large part of this, obviously, which is noise. The goal of this is to make sure that this thrives, right? Because we want emerging and established, whether it's DJs or performers, you name it, to have a place where they can show their talent and evolve and become players on the global stage. We've seen this throughout life. I mean, we're very lucky. We have bands and groups, whether it's Arcade Fire and different things that have played at bars like the Divan Orange or Let's Tulipe and this and that, and have gone on to the world stage.
Yeah.
DJs as well, Tiga and other DJs that I can name, A-Track. But without these venues, these people would never have been able to hone their skills and build a following and build up their name. And we just can't risk losing this in the city. I mean, we're a city of festivals, and people are going to have to start accepting these festivals. But we hear noise complaints, the same thing. Heavy MTL, we get noise complaints. You get the Grand Prix, noise complaints. I mean, there's so many things where we talk about noise complaints, and it makes sense. You're in a metropolis, in a city. You obviously don't want to inconvenience people. But there has to be un juste milieu, as we say, right? Uh-huh. There has to be a middle ground in terms of good cohabitation, because we will lose everything that is our culture. Everything that is our culture, and the city will die if we don't do something to protect it. And the mayor is extremely well aware of that, and I'm positive that we're going to do what needs to be done to do it. I don't think it's perfect. Mm-hmm. I don't think anything's going to be perfect right away. And the Tulipe decision is a perfect example, because remember, in 2023, the first round happened with Tulipe.
Yes.
And the judge at that time judged in favor of Let's Tulipe. So nobody expected it to ever be interpreted in another way, right? We never saw it this way. So it goes to appeal. You're assuming that it's going to be interpreted the same way. Everything's safe as long as everything's in good standing. Mm. And then all of a sudden this comes out of left field. And now we're like, whoa. But, un mal pour un bien, in a certain way, because now we realize how fragile this is. And what we have to do.
That's a good point, right? Because we wouldn't be talking about this if the judge hadn't ruled this way. So maybe there will be some good coming out of this.
But it's important now that we know that it can be interpreted this way, and that we put corrective measures in to protect these venues from those interpretations. And that's our first rule of business that we have to get done right away to protect everybody else, because we don't want people jumping on the train to start making complaints and being like, now because of this ruling, now we have just cause to shut down all of these venues.
Yeah. Sterling, listen, we have to leave it there. Real great pleasure talking to you on this one. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for doing everything. And thanks for everyone who's out there fighting for these venues, everybody who's speaking up about this. It's important that the community sticks together and does this. We need to do it.
From the beautiful streets of Verdun, that's Sterling Downey right there. On the flip side of things, on the text line 514-790-0800, here's a text message from a listener saying this: Elias, I had a condo on Blurry and President Kennedy. I had to get rid of it because I couldn't sleep ever. Concerts on Monday, Sunday nights until 1 a.m. So, there's a counterpoint from someone that, well, eventually they moved. But you have to think about some people that perhaps say the noise is too much.